Well, hi, everybody. I'm happy to welcome you to our seminar today about the emergence of deep tech in the startup ecosystem of India. As you can tell, I'm in Singapore. In fact, I took this picture about 5 minutes ago out of the hotel corridor, not my room, but the corridor. So, yeah, you can tell that I'm here. And I want to say a special welcome today to the 40 plus delegates in the ACES Summit. These are students interested in building an entrepreneurship community from all over the world. The program is completely student run at Stanford, and they're putting together a great program this week, including some exciting sessions that are open to the public. So please take a look at our website for more information, asia.stanford.edu. And in one of those kind of things, I am here in Singapore for a conference of senior national security officers. So we're talking a lot about AI safety, about the kind of challenges that will come in with quantum computing, and also about biotech. I will be back next week for our session with an exciting Japanese startup company that's looking at moving from agentive AI to AGI, artificial general intelligence. Today, it's a dangerous thing to become friends with me because I will ask you to do things. And I want to say thanks so much to Ms. Madhu Iyer, who will be our chair and guest host of the session today. Madhu, like a lot of venture capitalists, has operational experience that really gives her great insights into the whole process of making a startup successful. She was on the board and also the chief data officer of Gojek, which was an Indonesia-based ride-hailing service that was really taking off. She grew it to over $1 billion in value, turned it into a unicorn, developed or established their Singapore office. She has also been an operating partner of a private equity fund, and she was on the founding team for Intuit's QuickBooks lending platform. But more recently, she is a partner and now managing partner with Rocketship.vc, which is a technology intensive company, focuses on investing in deep tech and other tech intensive startups. Um, I'm going to let Madhu introduce our other panelists and take over from this point. And I'm going to stay on as long as I can, but I'll be listening. So, Madhu, the program is yours. Thank you so much for coming in and taking care of this today.
Yeah, most welcome, Richard. It's a pleasure. Thanks, everybody, for being here. It's a delight, as always. I'm also delighted to be joined by a friend and now I'm going to know Tamali, Dr. Ashish Gupta and Dr. Tamali Sen Gupta. Ashish is a co-founder at Helion Venture Partners. He serves on several boards, including Gupshup, Indigene, InfoEdge, which is Naukri, Urban Company, and Whatfix. He also co-founded Drishti at Avant Technologies and Jungli way back when. Fun fact is that, the other managing partners at my fund also are from Stanford and were co-founders with Ashish at Jungli, which was acquired by Amazon. And he worked at Woodside Fund, Oracle Corporation, and IBM Research. His past investments, and that's why he's really a very, very good person to be speaking on today's panel, which is now, of course, deep tech startups in India. But he started his journey by investing in Flipkart, which Walmart acquired. Make My Trip. These are all Indian startups that went on to do really well. Pubmatic, Upwork in the US and Pubmatic in the US, of course. Perfios, Redbus in India, Mu Sigma, and Daksh, which was acquired by IBM. Ashish is a Kaufman Fellow. He holds a PhD in computer science from Stanford University and a BTech from IIT Kanpur, where he received the President's Gold Medal and the Distinguished Alumnus Award. He has published several research articles, patents, and a book by MIT Press. Welcome, Ashish. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Tamali Sen Gupta. She is the founder and managing partner of T. Sen Gupta and Associates. She finished her JSM in 1990 and JSD 1991 from the Stanford Law School. Dr. Sen Gupta has been one of the founders of the Stanford Alumni Association in New Delhi, India, and has served as president there for 2 terms. She has over 3 decades of experience in commercial law and in the development sector, and is also a widely published author. Dr. Gupta advises companies on strategic legal issues and has served as an independent board director for companies such as HFCL, HTL, SREI Infrastructure Finance Limited, JW Marriott Delhi Aria Hotels, Asian Hotels West Limited, and Sony Pictures Entertainment Films India Private Limited. As an independent director on the boards of listed companies, Dr. Sen Gupta has served on multiple board committees. Dr. Sen Gupta has worked extensively in the development sector as well, such as endeavors with the Rotary Foundation, including education, water conservation, and skill development of the youth from slum clusters. She has also navigated the grant process, including matching international grants with Rotary International. Dr. Sen Gupta's work across both the legal and development sectors highlights her commitment to driving positive change and supporting both corporate growth and societal advancement. Welcome, Tamali.
Yeah. Hi, it feels pretty good to hear someone say nice things about you. Thank you so much, Madhu.
Fantastic. I'll start by giving some opening remarks about today's topic. As a venture capitalist investing here and in India, I feel like today's topic is something that's close to my heart. I've been investing in India for a while now, as of course, along with the Valley and in, generally across America. So let me just share, and I just wanted to kind of clarify what we are going to be doing in the program today. I want to start off by giving some remarks. I want to hand off the mic to Ashish to give some remarks on today's topic, and I want to then pass on the baton to Tamali, and then I'll ask them a couple of questions, and then we'll open it to the audience to ask questions. Want to spend a lot of time giving the audience plenty of opportunity to ask questions. So why don't I start? Today's topic is the emergence of deep tech startups in India. I'm one of the managing partners at Rocketship, and Rocketship is a venture capital fund with about $275 million in AUM. We are on Fund 3. Like I said, we invest in India as well as here. And I think the biggest reason why we are based in the Valley and we went out and invested in India is because we use artificial intelligence to build an incredibly high quality pipeline. What I mean by that is that, we truly are a sort of, not an outlier in venture, but we have been doing things different. We have a team of, every partner is a data scientist. Every partner has been an operator in startups, and we've been investors for a long time. And what we do with this artificial intelligence is that we use these algorithms that we build on the largest startup data set that we have been able to assemble to invest and find startups anywhere in the world. So what shows up on our pipeline is our deal flow. And so every month we are seeing companies across the globe that we can invest in. And that's really our ability to therefore identify winners across the world and across the globe. I've got a little something about how we use this data. The data is obviously huge. It's 475 terabytes and growing. We use AI models on top of that. It's a team that's done this for a long time. And we are able to do these diligence because of just the quality of startups that is across the world right now. And we believe we are able to identify winners because of that. So as the opportunity set has expanded because of our algorithms, we've, it's just going to get harder because the quality of companies is great. And we are finding a lot of good companies in emerging markets. And we are finding, deep tech and AI ecosystems are beginning to take shape in India. and I'll be speaking much more about that. So we went to India, a long time back. We've been investing in India for 10 plus years now. When we started investing in India, and these are all our portfolio companies. We found Moglix, which is a B2B startup out of India. It's a lot like Alibaba. We found No Broker, which is India's biggest sort of, it's like Zillow of India. Khata Book, which is like QuickBooks of India. Apna, which is basically like Indeed of India. And many other companies. So this is B2C and B2B companies on the board until about you come to 2022 and you see a company called Agnikul. Agnikul is when we really thought that something was happening in India, and we started finding great startups which were not B2C, not B2B. These were deep technology startups, and Agnikul is it's basically India's SpaceX. They're building their own rockets. And we found this team and the rigor with which they kind of built it. So what they did was the cost of going to space is still very high. Agnikul is doing 3D printed engines, and they were able to have a successful launch with these 3D printed engines that they formulated. This is an IIT Madras incubated startup. And IITs of India are well known for being sort of the technology, hubs, the universities that produces, much like Stanford, a lot of great engineers, and Agnikul is a product of that. We then in 2024 found a company called Mindgrove. Mindgrove is our recent investment. It is a semiconductor fabless semiconductor company. And so India is really producing great companies in deep tech. And the pool of Indian startups has really continued to grow and become more diverse, is what this slide essentially is. There's a lot of democratization. A, the quantity of startups is going up. B, the democratization has been incredible. Almost 50% are from tier 2 and tier 3 cities now. And now the diversification comes in with deep tech, which is really moving to the fore. And these are our, and these are some companies that I was talking about. Uraval Labs is a renewable water infrastructure. They're basically like getting water from the air, extracting water from air. Agnikul, I spoke about the SpaceX of India, and Mindgrow, which is a high-performance microprocessor company. And so really, we started finding these startups in 2022. We were slightly ahead, which is why we pride ourselves with our algorithms. The government very recently in 2025 allocated $2.7 billion for the private sectors. It was really a lot to do with the R&D, and it announced its first deep tech fund. I don't know the exact quantum of that. I think it's about $120 million. But yeah, I mean, there is a huge push for the, for the deep tech industry in India to grow from I think power to power. So I'll hand it off to you, Ashish, to give us some remarks on what you think.
And so folks, just a quick show of hands. How many folks here are not students? Fair bit, okay. And also, given that there is so much jargon associated with pretty much every space, and investing is no different, just please feel free to stop me at any point in time, because there's no point in marching on assuming things. So, and any question or disagreement, don't wait till the later session, at least for the next 10 minutes, please jump in. It's more fun than otherwise. And to your point, Madhu, the minister of, I forget, Tamali would know what Piyush Goyal is the minister of. She'll tell us in a moment. We'll do this as a relay race and get you answers. I think he announced 10,000 crores, which is about $1.2 billion for deep tech investing, in addition to giving the country a lecture on how we've all lost our way with all our fancy degrees. We are busy delivering food as opposed to actually build something meaningful. And we should take a lesson from our neighbor, China, and build something that competes. So he pretty much gave a tongue lashing, I think well-deserved, to the whole lot of us, both who invest money and who start companies that start doing something more with all the education that is dispensed to you in this deeply technical stuff. So quick remarks. So I spend my time with a fund that does deep tech investing here in the Valley. and it also has roots in India. It's a fund called MFV. M for Mary, F for Frank, V for Venture. I forget what the full form is. The person who started it is a gentleman called Karthi. He's a very, very long-term deep tech investor at Qualcomm, used to do VLSI design, was the first investor in Waze way back when, before it got bought by Google. And I hang out and try and learn about this space. So what you will get is secondhand learnings, and therefore with all the associated mistakes made in learning from somebody else. So that's how at least I spend my time here in the deep tech space. And from my own investment process in India, I started investing in 99. That was the first investment I made in India. So that was about, 26 years ago. And it was a business process outsourcing company. You pick up the phone, you complain to Amazon, where's my box? Somebody in Delhi used to pick up the phone and pretend to speak with a Texas accent and tell you where your box is. That was the genesis of at least my investing process there. Then moved to India in 2006 and deployed about $600 odd million over the course of 8-9 years. And some of those companies actually also had some deeper technology underpinnings. So first of all, what is the meaning of this word deep tech? And it'll mean a lot of things to different people. So I'll give you at least my definition. If you were to rewind to the Silicon Valley, which one can claim is the birthplace of venture investing and a lot of entrepreneurship, actually Terman here, by some accounts, is reputed to be the father of a lot of the venture capital business. Of course, this goes back millennia. One could argue Queen Elizabeth was among the first VCs, having funded Columbus and a whole bunch of ships, and said, whatever you loot, 90% is mine kind of stuff. The VCs continue the glorious tradition. But here in the Valley, Terman is one person who's acknowledged to be one of the people who started this lot. So most of the companies that here were actually deeply technical companies till the internet came about. And then you could start building a bunch of application companies because you could start building for the consumer. So actually more, in my experience, 2000 onwards is when, and I'm drawing an arbitrary line, venture capital even got this distinction of deep tech versus not. Otherwise, everything was quote unquote deep tech. Networking, chip design, drug design, all of that stuff was. And then we went through this period of where it was easy to build applications because you could do consumer-facing applications and you could do business-facing applications, starting purely from a business problem, without needing to build any technical advantage yourself. But they were more engineering-oriented solutions. And now we are coming back a full circle, where there is this resurgence of deep tech. And at least to me, what it means is you've got some piece of innovation which is proprietary to you, as opposed to taking other people's pieces and gluing them together. Okay, you can debate this ad nauseum, but please take this at least for the next an hour. My definition is you've built something of your own that is a necessary component into whatever solution that you build, which has got technical roots, as opposed to more application/business process. So with that definition, India, ironically, the venture business in India started application first, as opposed to innovation first. And we are finding our way to the innovation first. So in effect, if you think of the US started innovation first, then went to application, India started application first because we only became, if you will, a more mature economy at that time. So 2005, arguably, you can say is when venture investing in India has started and continued to be growing at scale. There were a few failed attempts before that. But from then it has continued on. And we are now moving from the more application-centric worldview to the more innovation-centric worldview, as is the rest of the world. So a variety of different pressures. Some of it is thanks to the kind of globalization that you're seeing, which is more protectionist. So defense is seeing a huge push because the government is rightfully asking, I can't depend on other people to protect me because the other people are out hunting me, starting with people who were supposedly my friends. And right now that is extremely confusing for those of you who've been reading the news. So that is already a trend that has been going on for a little while. And that shows up in semiconductors, like there is a bunch of very interesting drones stuff. There is outright security stuff. So that is a huge push. Drugs, another issue. Huge push in India. Why? Because the drugs that are produced here are just god-awfully expensive. And protectionism, especially if you look at the COVID stuff, made it clear to everybody that you got to protect your own. That is another huge push. And AI, of course, is everywhere. So we'll come to that in just a moment. On the deep tech, and please stop me whenever, on the deep tech stuff, a couple of things of the kinds of things that show up in the companies that make them stand out from application first companies, in my view. Because you end up starting with a nugget of proprietary innovation, the founders are usually deeply technical. And then they have to learn business. And for those of you who've seen the evolution of most companies, the number of failure modes increase when you teach a technically deep person then business skills. Okay, and most of us don't give up control. Okay, it's my baby. So deep tech companies have one more evolutionary curve in their growth, which is the people who start them out are deeply technical and then they need to grow up on business dimensions. Furthermore, because this is one more nugget you wanted to build inside, it takes more time and it takes more money. Why? Because you first got to build this piece of innovation and then you got to build the business solution on top of it, because customers want business solutions. They don't want just an interesting piece of technology. So there is one more thing that you build. So it takes more time, takes more money, takes more learning, because the people inside, yes, sir.
Just clarifying, your definition of entrepreneurship would exclude things like joint ventures.
Absolutely. And we can go on that separately, because that is a can of worms that begs its own 300 hours of discussion. So yes, absolutely excluding that. So it has more evolutionary steps, and therefore it takes more money. It takes more patience. It takes more time. And those are some of the lessons that we are relearning today, because a lot of those of us who grew up in the investment business grew up on the fact that in the very first year you start seeing revenue. When you take a deep tech company, in the first year, you build out an interesting widget. And what you talk about is, does it do what it says you do? Does it produce photons at 1/10 of the price at what you thought? No revenue. In fact, more cost, because now you need 6 more people to feed this beast. So there are a whole bunch of these other learning experiences that the whole industry is going through, as is the case with India. And we'll come back to it as the part of some of the questions as to where is India got some unfair advantages and where are there some of the stumbling blocks. And one of them is this, that how much more time do you give to people? Where do you get the money for that time? Do the people in the ecosystem understand that it takes more time? Another minute, shall I move up to Tamali? Absolutely. Yeah. So that is one other dimension that we should dig through as we go forward. In terms of my own investment philosophy, given that I know very little about any given space, I usually try and come in early in the life of a company, in spaces that are also early, because then we can all learn together. It's like a new game is being invented. A good athlete can play that game. Whereas if you want to play soccer, well-polished game, strategies up the wazoo, you need specialized position players. So in a lot of spaces, you need experts. In a lot of spaces, you can arrive early if they're being defined early. AI is one such space. So I personally like new spaces because I know very little. And therefore, in a new space, I can find good athletes with a high degree of failure, at least in my case. But at least we have a chance of counting on brain plasticity, quickly learning and iterating, because nobody else has an unfair advantage. And AI is another place where India is turning out to have an interesting advantage. And I'll just go deeper in that for a moment and then hand it over to Tamali. A lot of the AI companies are changing so quickly that India can bring a services layer to these companies. It's like, let's say you want to drive a crane as opposed to drive a economy car which you rented from Avis. A crane is a much harder object to drive. So you ideally want a person who has expertise in driving a crane. Otherwise, instead of digging a hole in your backyard, you'll dig the hole in your living room, which is not the best use of heavy equipment. AI looks like a crane. Why? Because it's complex to use, the skill sets to use it are not quite there. And a lot of the AI companies are finding that they have a layer of services in order to deliver values. And you look around you, Scale AI, OpenAI, Palantir, a lot of the industrial companies that I'm a part of have a layer of services because the quickly changing product can be used by people of your own and deliver the outcome of the product as opposed to try and sell the product. So it's a very interesting time on a totally different dimension for those of us who are putzing around in India, that as long as AI is quickly evolving, the products keep changing, and therefore it's better that an internal person uses the product and delivers the value as opposed to try and train the customer into this chameleon and keep them up to speed on what's going on. But we can dig deeper offline or later. So that's yet another space.
Thank you so much. Ashish always an extremely interesting speaker with the number of years that he has been in the investment space. You heard two VCs. I'm going to now give the baton to Tamali, who will be giving her perspectives. She's in India at the moment, and so speaking about the ecosystem, about also the infrastructure and all of the other regulatory challenges and whatnot. Tamali, over to you.
Yeah, hi. It's quite a pleasure to be coming in today and talking with the wonderful audience in Stanford. I remember the days when I used to wander those halls seeking knowledge. And so I am one of the few ones who returned to India many years ago. And I've been here a while. And like Ashish has a unique perspective because he has both lived and worked in India as well as lived and worked in the Valley. So it's different from a normal perspective because he's aware of all the challenges and he's aware of the situation in a very different way. So I come from a different perspective, which is legal and regulatory, and I have been advising startups on their ventures. So I'm just going to share my two bits with you guys today. So this whole conversation is very timely because just about a week ago at the Startup Mahakumbh, which is Mahakumbh is like it's sort of like a spiritual gathering that happens in India, and it was exceptionally large this year. So so they did something similar, which is the Startup Mahakumbh. And I did attend that. And the Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, got people quite riled up because he made a comment that Indian startups are only doing the last mile solutions. They are looking to deliver cosmetics and food and not really going too much into the deep tech part of it. So then the question, of course, is, what is deep tech? And as Ashish said, everything was deep tech till the apps started coming along. And India kind of rode the app wave to create some very successful apps and several hundred odd unicorns, I believe. But along the way, the question is, why has India not been able to do what China has done, for instance? This is one. The other question is, what can we do today to change that situation? Because India, at the end of the day, is part of the free world, and we are not a communist country or a country that is that has a more linear regulation process. So, like monarchies, communist governments, when they decide to do something, they just do it. In democracy, we debate a lot, we talk a lot, and then we're not really sure what the result will be. It's freedom of speech. So basically, India has, as I said, most of the startups have focused on the last mile delivery of goods, food, cosmetics, and there have been several who have tried to do more deep tech kind of stuff, and they have had limited success in that the procedural and infrastructural requirements and the funding were not there. So in deep tech, because you need deep pockets, I think that's why it's called deep tech, because you need deep pockets. And you need to first develop the product and a prototype. And that's going to take you a couple of years and several millions of dollars before there is any upside seen by anyone on that. Now, in China's case, the government bit the bullet and said, okay, we will give you subsidized space, subsidized living conditions, and we will invest so much money to buy your first prototypes. And then we will promote those through our government companies. So you have a ready market upfront. So you're getting the access to the investment, you're getting the access to the market. And all you have to do as a founder is sit and develop your product. So they have hundreds and thousands of these. It's not like just one off. In India, you have one Agnikul, you have one Dhruva, but in China, you will have 100 for each one that India has come up with. Now, one of the reasons this has happened is as an Indian living in India, Indians tend to have a trader mentality. So if they don't see quick returns, they're out of it. So long-term structural investments have seldom been made in tech. The last 10 years is with under a very right-wing government, is the first time we've seen this huge push on infrastructure. Earlier, the pattern of development in India was to develop centers of excellence like the IITs and then sort of fund the technology engine in the world. So the IITs essentially are teaching institutions for undergraduates. They have also postgraduate, but they are not quite the research institutions in the same way that, say, Stanford or MIT are. So that may be changing today, but as long as the professors are all older, now, and when I say older, I mean there's two kinds of older. There's a biologically older, and then there's an internet older. So basically, ever since internet protocol technology came in, those who were there in the beginning, like Ashish, are the grandfathers. I mean, whatever his age is, he's still a grandfather. But you compare him with a dean of IIT, and they will be so much more rooted in the knowledge they learned in college and not in what's actually happening in the world in terms of infrastructure or in terms of crystal ball gazing. So I would compare this with, say, the reinsurance companies. Now, why reinsurance? Because you all know about insurance. Now, reinsurance is an industry where they map the future by a good 20, 30 decades. So they have people just sitting around ideating what are the challenges the world is going to face 20 years hence. Okay, and they'll look at seismic data, they'll look at population, they'll look at consumption patterns, everything. So it's a very different kind of modeling and profiling as compared with a normal investment or insurance. So I think the difference between, say, India and the US would be that US is way further ahead. China, US are way further ahead in terms of crystal ball gazing what the world will look like in the future. In India, we are looking at opportunities for investment through the tech space. So the primary focus is not the tech space or deep tech. The primary focus is on investment in deep tech, which are two very different things. It's not investment in R&D and science. It is investment in returns. So there's a fundamental difference in perspective. Now, there are some interesting things happening. One is, of course, there's a company called Salesforce. Sanket Atal heads the technology there. They have set up a system where they have, I think, under 400 or startups who they have funded. And what they are trying to do is act as a bridge between startups in India and the companies who will be the end users among the Fortune 500 companies. Because if a startup in deep tech doesn't find a very powerful suitor, so to say, early on, they will not succeed. So they need the capital to develop their product, and then they need clients to buy their product. So Salesforce is trying to act as a kind of bridge between these two to make sure that promising founders find the clients they need to fund their product and take it to market. So this is kind of like what the Chinese government has done. So as far as India is concerned, I think the Indian government is not doing that. They give you tax breaks. They'll say there's a in I think in Gujarat they're having this dual concept where they'll give you space. So it is like a rent waiver system versus actively promoting development. So these are two slightly different perspectives. Now, I'm going to go really quick on all this because there's so much to discuss. I don't want to overshoot my time. There are many aspects of technology, especially deep tech. Of course, one is the silicon chip. On that, real quick, because I've been talking to, I've been advising on that. India had a nascent silicon chip manufacture facility, which kind of got burnt down in what they don't know is an act of arson or it was just an accident. Since then, there's been not too much development in silicon chip design and manufacture because number one, there are a lot of infrastructural hurdles. And number two is that um, Indian startups can do an excellent job of designing chips. The question is, are the patents located in India? Because as we saw during COVID, we were hopelessly dependent on China, and when we could not get chip supplies, all supply of new cars stopped. Most electronics that needed to be repaired could not be repaired because we couldn't get the chips. Now, at this time, we rely on Taiwan, and we don't know with the changing geopolitical climate in the US whether our supply from Taiwan will be impacted. So, quite frankly, it is high time we start developing more. The Stanford alum Ajit Paranjape is one of the pioneers in this area and has got several patents to his name. Has worked only in the US and you know is in the nascent stage of trying to identify patentable things in India. So, I mean, the point is that unless the patents are owned in India, the question is, are they Indian? If you develop a product and sell it, then it does not remain an Indian product. For example, Ashish, and this is not a personal thing, knock your jungly.com, which was such a wonderful product and got bought, that is not an Indian product now, though it was developed largely by Indians. So to that extent, the view of some people is that you need to have more Indian origin IP for products to be truly Indian. They can have a global reach, but they cannot be based on patents from overseas, which can be withdrawn at any point in time. Especially in this era where we're going towards trade wars, largely because of US politics, the framework under WTO seems to have been marginalized and superseded, and it's basically going to be an all-out bilateral trade war system going on. So in that situation, people are much more, smaller countries are more vulnerable, like China and India is, while we are a very large country with a lot of people physically, we have a large economy, but we don't have that large of a land mass. And our minerals have mostly been stripped after 300 years of colonial rule. The difference is that China, for instance, has a much larger land mass and they have more reserves which have not been stripped. In India, the moment the diamonds dried up, the gold dried up, the British left. And then now we are in a situation where we have so many people. We are actively a hotspot politically in the world because, like Spain, this is a country that was once under conquest by certain groups and no longer is under those groups, which makes it subject to reconquest. Those who follow geopolitics will understand what I mean. So there is this battle on the ground for land. I mean, it's basically a land war that's going on, and that will go however it goes. I have no opinions on that. So to go on to that, just on the deep tech space, very little seems to be happening in India so far in terms of developing standards. Now, we are at a unique position where we can define global standards instead of global standards on internet. So I think out of the top, under IETF, out of the top 100 odd standards that have been developed, two have come out of India. One is from TCS, somebody called Abhijan Bhattacharya, I think. So we need to focus more on developing the future standards for the internet so that we have a march ahead. We had the much touted leap to 5G, in terms of telecom services. We went from 4G to 5G, but when they went from 4G to 5G, they needed repeaters. 5G cables were laid. The repeaters could not find enough they could not put an adequate number of repeaters. So they put the repeaters wherever they had the 4G systems. This is one of the factors. I'm not saying it's the only one. And then there was a system of a clash. There was conflicting signals. So 5G has not been as successful as it would have been in a clean slate system. Say like in Singapore, if they were going to do it, they'd do it very differently. Now we are talking about 6G, but no one is quite sure what 6G means. Already there are products under development in Bangalore, which is for 6G, but without defining the standard for what 6G and without saying how you incorporate or expand on the existing networks, which are still 4G in many places and 5G in some places. No one has done work on that. No one has thought about that process. The focus is again on producing fiber optic cables and devices, and not on the crystal ball gazing part of it. So all of these areas need to be addressed. The other thing is, as a country which has the largest population in the world today and will have the largest population in the world for the next 75 years, according to some estimates, we have to also think about what is affordable for us. So, for example, high energy consuming technologies such as Ghibli, while they may be very charming and cute, they are consuming resources at a rate you can't even imagine. Can we afford those technologies? You know, you have something like DeepSeek, which says we will not give you full accuracy, but we will do 75% or 80% accuracy at a fraction of the cost. So does India necessarily need the most advanced options, or do we need more affordable options for our population and for other populations around the world who may not be able to afford the high cost of deep tech in certain sectors? Now, if I compare this with for the pharma industry, Ashish was talking about the pharma industry. Now, India is, this has been an ongoing subject, and I was a subject matter I studied during my PhD so many years ago. India is the leading country that supplies gray market drugs to the rest of the world. Where did that become important? Because the entire Africa, Latin America, CIS countries, and Asian, many of them rely heavily on Indian export of OTC drugs. Now, this is done through a process called reverse engineering, where they change the process, and US has a lot of issues with that because they say the patent process is being subverted. But the point is, during COVID, we had drugs easily accessible. To this day, you know, you have a cold, you have drugs easily accessible. It costs nothing. The kind of pricing that you know, many other economies have adopted. So, so while there needs to be return on R&D and investment, there also needs to be a reality check on what the world can afford in terms of resources. I mean, I can discuss further, but I think you know, Ashish. I mean, I think my co-panelists can you know, possibly add more light. But as I said, what I see of the industry is I see a very small slice of what you're calling deep tech happening. I don't see it reaching scale unless there is a huge amount of investment. VCs, such as my co-panelists, can be a bridge between, say, Sandhill Road and MIT and New York to bring global capital into areas, because we have the engineers and they're very, very bright. And we owe all of that to a very famous king, which was not a democracy, called Maharaja Vodiyar, who set up the basis of Bangalore and the Indian Institute of Science and all the research that is happening there. So they have excellent facilities, they have excellent technical people. Those excellent people do not necessarily have the access to scale up by getting Fortune 500 companies to fuel the future of deep tech. So that would be my net conclusion, I think.
One of the things I was wanting to ask you very quickly is the Indian ecosystem has a problem with how do you think about exits, right? Is it an acquisition or is it an IPO? And for deep tech startups, that's even more important because you really need to work with bigger organizations, like she said, Salesforce, and that's what I wanted to ask her. How do you kind of start thinking about, are you building these semiconductor chips for India? Are you building it for the world? Including with Agnikul, it's a SpaceX of India. Now they want to obviously carry load for the world. So there is some use cases that emerge very seamlessly, but when you have agentic models and other things, what are you like? Are you building everything for the world, and is it going to be very difficult? Those are the kinds of problems that I kind of foresee in that ecosystem. What are your thoughts there?
Very good point. And is everybody on the same page as Madhu vis-a-vis this notion of exits? Is especially
yeah, that's a very good point.
given that there are a whole bunch of students here and stuff. Does anybody have a question around what does this notion of an exit mean? If so, speak now or suffer through the. Briefly touch on that, Madhu.
No, why don't you go ahead?
So the way the venture capital business or pretty much any investment works is that when you put money into something, you expect that at the other end, you can take that money out, ideally multiplied by some number. So for example, Stanford owned a piece of Google because Sergey and Larry were part of the computer science department here, and the Office of Technology Licensing agreed with when Google started that, hey, a portion of Google will be ours. And then people gave money to the founders, and then they went ahead and started Google. And now whatever is the market cap of Google is several thousand times more than what it was when the company started. So Stanford would have sold that stock and made a whole bunch of money. Would have been the original investors who might have put in $100 and could have taken out $100 million out of that. Does that kind of make sense? So that is quote unquote an exit. And you can make that money by either the company going public or Google can go and buy some other company. Like for instance, several Stanford startups have been bought by Google. That is another way of getting an exit, where a larger company comes and buys a smaller company, and voila, the smaller company investors and founders have gotten an exit. So, sorry for the tangent. In India, part of the challenge has been that when you put money into a company, especially funds like what Madhu runs or I run or Tamali in her individual capacity, when she would invest money, you do want that money back at some point. So you want these companies to be acquired by somebody or for them to go public. And in India, that has been a challenge for many, many years. And part of it is because the rich technology companies live in the US. This is a chicken and the egg kind of problem.
Or even China, that China has a pipeline of companies.
Absolutely, very well put. So who's going to buy your company is, well, somebody who's 10,000 miles away or across a hostile border. Or you go to the public markets, which in India were not very deep. So the startups used to have this question of where do they quote unquote exit? How do the investors get their money back? That has changed in the last 4 or 5 years. The Indian public markets have become much deeper, just as the country, I beg your pardon, has become wealthier. So you can take companies public, you can sell your stock to people who want to invest money, and the investors can take the money out. For deep tech companies, this problem is more acute because it takes a much longer time. Also, the public markets in every country, fewer deep tech companies go public. They end up getting bought disproportionately more frequently than direct to consumer or application companies. So to at least my 2 cents to your question, I think the deep tech companies in India, the ones that at least, so I'm involved with Agnikul, with a couple that are building water because climate is a big issue, and India, the monsoons are going to get disrupted more easily than a lot of other things, thanks to climate change. So water conservation is a big theme, at least in some of us. My sense is that either they plan to be small acquisitions, in which case you put in less money. You don't want to put in $100 million and get out 80. That doesn't make sense from an investment perspective. So there are those that are planning to just stay focused on India, and therefore you don't put in that much money. But the moment you start seeing more than a certain amount of money go in, which in my mind is $15 million, you better start serving the European or the US market.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, one will end up losing money, is at least how uh, I'm seeing some of these big plays.
And the one thing I want to ask Tamali as well is, just since she's there, what are you seeing with companies like Tata and Birla and the bigger companies in India? Are these guys sort of opening up their? Because I feel like the one sentiment that I've seen in the Indian markets is that if it's an AI, anything that I've seen with B2B and B2C, at least deep tech with your point on patents and things, much more difficult. But I feel like all the Indian the conglomerates feel that they can build everything better in-house. Because the labor is cheaper. And so that's what has happened with B2B companies for the longest time. How is deep tech going to come and sort of change the perception of these conglomerates, the Indian conglomerates, when they want to, support the ecosystem? Tamali, you spoke about the fact that the Indian government is not thinking through that lens. Are the Indian conglomerates thinking through that lens of becoming the acquirers, the early acquirers of these companies? Like a Salesforce is going to India, are these homegrown Indian conglomerates doing anything?
I think they're doing in the sectors that they are, which is that, so for instance, as I mentioned in terms of internet standards, TCS, so that's a Tata company. So that contribution, though it's in a person's name, it is from a Tata company. So the Tatas have been sort of ahead of the curve in that they have always funded pure science and technology research. So it is happening. The Godreges, which is another very big group, they have what they call a center of innovation, which I visited. But that is not on these issues. That is on issues like to incubate startups in the consumer goods industry, which is what most of them are in. So it's so I don't think that focus is quite there yet. Infrastructural hurdles are there, and then of course the compliance burden of being a listed company. It's just that much harder. Company like Reliance has gone ahead with undersea cables, and they have the resources. And while most Indians love to hate them, they are doing very decisive things in terms of infrastructure development. Except in this country, the question is, do we need that? Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to do that? So again, there's a lot of noise around any kind of efforts in those direction by large conglomerates. But what I've seen is that a lot of companies they are becoming much more multinational. They have bases in the US and EU because of the protectionism to sell their products. They need to be out of there. Their finance conglomerates are going into banking overseas because they need to move funds more quickly than you can from India. Basically, when you have an exit in India, you have a very high level of taxation. International investors don't want that. They want to deal with the taxes at their end. So those things need to be worked out, how to bring money in easier and take it out easier without a lot of without a lot of unnecessary cumbersome procedures, which at this time they are fairly cumbersome. I'm a lawyer, as was mentioned. There was a company exiting, and they paid the exit the money to sell their shares, and the Reserve Bank of India had a specific format that they needed a letter on the letterhead of the US corporation to put that into effect. The US banks refused to give it. They said, then the client asked, can we just put it on a plain letterhead and have them stamp it? So, there are little differences, procedural systems, which India is not very flexible. So Indian government wouldn't take that. So it's complex. It's complex. There's a lot of red tape and There's a lot of baggage that we need to clean out of the system for the quick and easy exits that you need for tech and
Yeah.
startup.
Good point. I think that's been one of the issues always with India is there's a lot of red tape and there's a lot of taxation and a lot of cumbersome exits. I'd like to, at this point, open up, the questions to the audience because we've been at it for a while. Got 20 more minutes, 20 to 25 minutes, and I just want to make sure that we address some questions here. I've got some questions on Zoom, but I'll go to that later. Any questions in the audience?
If you're a student thinking about venturing into your own startup in deep tech, what would your advice be when it comes to finding the right idea, finding the right problem? And that initial stage can be tricky because it's such a long journey with R&D. How do you stick to your vision? How do you ensure that with the enormous amount of investment people will naturally trust you with, that you are eventually heading towards something that does have impact long term?
Why don't you take it? Because you invest in very early stage startups.
I think it would be good to take the question offline. And the reason I say it is too wide, so at least for me to be able to answer it in any meaningful manner will be very hard.
That's okay.
For example, the several variations of it come to mind, which is why I'm struggling to figure out which one to answer. Let's say you were doing research in a physics lab where you all have insight into materials of a specific kind, then the path would be very different. If, on the other hand, you were in medical school, then the path would be different, and hence my hesitation to try and give you a one-size-fits-all. But maybe you would have more insight.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've seen is that, it's really important to be in deep tech startups, especially. It's important to sort of be sure about what you want to do because it's a long cycle. You need to be a subject matter expert, or you need to find co-founders that are subject matter experts that you've been sort of working with for a while. You need to be excited, and these are all very generic answers to Ashish's point, but I'm still going to sort of go out on a limb and say it. It's also the one other thing that I've known is that finding a quick sort of a model to if you've built something, where do you house it? What are the who are the customers? It's just a very long cycle, so you need to be sure, and actually some of it comes through where if you've been working at it for a while, it needs to be a natural progression to his point. Biotech versus versus something else, AI versus something else.
I will make one thing to add, Madhu. One, and this is not what to do, but what to not do. So answering the opposite of what you asked. Particularly when there is some technical innovation, we tend to fall in love with the value of that innovation for its own sake. Finding a path from there to some value outside, if you're looking at it from a startup perspective. It is not necessary if one is looking at it from a research perspective, because there is tremendous value. So please don't let me talk you out of solving fundamental problems. If you are looking at it from a startup perspective, you have to, at some point in time, be able to ask that this baby that you so love for its very complex nature, will somebody else value it? Or are you best served by keeping that baby to yourself? And that is a risk that a lot of deep tech, and I'm an engineer by training, we tend to fall in love with our own innovations. So that is a risk that you should avoid.
Just to follow up on that, what if when you're on this journey and you're a couple years in and you're building out a proprietary technology, and then you realize, okay, the use case isn't so great, and you have that realization, is there any way you can almost validate the work you're doing before you reach such a late stage or in the middle of development, or is it just the nature of deep tech for it to go sort of in a road of uncertainty when it comes to developing proprietary technology?
It depends on what you're building. I mean, I think that with AI today, well, even with AI today, people make that mistake. Foundational models took billions of dollars in, and then the cost became really, really low. And so, was it the journey that they took? Were they aware that that use case is going to be much, much cheaper? Probably not. Was it worth it? Probably yes. I think yes. And so I guess it's very subjective to what you're building. How do you test things? How do you not? I don't know if.
And by the way, the difference between madness and genius is all backward looking. Okay. So also please be aware of that. And when do you stop and when do you continue marching on is best answered in hindsight. And the same person who was lampooned as being crazy could turn out to be, and we can keep going with endless examples of this. So please also don't expect a closed form answer. It will often come with your brand of craziness.
Totally. And I think the use cases, yeah, sorry, go on.
So I just want to ask, India is the third or fourth largest automotive market globally. Obviously, population has something to do with that. But I'm curious to get your perspective on what are some of the policies, activities at the government or the private sector level that India has done to rise to such a position. And looking ahead, given the geopolitical tensions we're all experiencing and the tariff regimes, how do you believe India will respond to the trade barriers, looking ahead? Because as it stands, it has a pretty high tariff for imports of cars into the country. But just want to get your thoughts on looking ahead of the automotive market.
I think this one is for Tamali. Tamali, if you want to give a response.
Yeah, so we have a lot of some international manufacturers here. There's been a system of what they call CKD for some time, where they bring in imported parts and assemble them here. The Mahindras, Anand Mahindra is doing the most in terms of new tech and developing models for the Indian market. Having said that, we are quite behind in the EV race because the batteries being made in China are several generations ahead. People keep talking about promising startups, but they don't quite reach the market. So until Indian startups develop technology which is available freely, it is available in one area, which are the scooters. So a lot of the gig economy is powered by EV two-wheelers, which can just be plugged and so until someone like the Mahindras takes this on full force, they're the only ones who have the capacity, the interest, and the access to technology. Because the international car makers are largely looking to sell their technology. I'll give you a very simple instance. A lot of cars in India are chauffeur-driven. Not everybody, we have a very strong middle class, 300 to 400 million. There is, of course, there's public transport, but a lot of people use chauffeur-driven cars, and almost none of the international models are built for comfort in the back seats. They have the best seats in front, the air conditioning goes to the front, and the back seat is for children. So that's a very simple innovation, which you need to, you'd have to buy a luxury car in this country to get a comfortable back seat. So I think Mahindras are really the only, there are lots of other little innovations, the battery cars, and then the little two, like urban transport with just two people, a driver and one single passenger. So all these are coming up, but these are basically extensions on the frame of like motorcycles, which there's a variety of vehicles that have been developed on that basic frame. But yeah, so I think I don't think there's much you can do if you're going to be an automobile engineer and you have a great idea, you can sell to the Mahindras, for instance. Okay, but would not be a great market otherwise.
I think one of the questions that we've always talked about automotive is like, in terms of deep tech, how are you really going to stay ahead of the game? India has got a long way to go. But there is a lot of things coming up. Automotive industry, especially in India, and we've invested in the semiconductor company. Lots of things going on with those chips. Automotive guys are the ones in India that are buying it. So, there's a lot of hope. And they are actually powering a lot of deep tech innovation in India and are acquiring those companies, are funding some part of it and things like that. So, it's actually a very, very meaningful time for deep tech startups vis-a-vis the automotive industry. And it's a great point. Yeah.
On the automotive side, another thing that has happened is because of a lot of the self-driving cars, it is actually a software problem.
That's right.
As opposed to a engine design problem alone. There are at least 2 companies that I know of that have over $100 million of revenue from India that are serving the auto majors here for that software part of the stack. And that is just going to keep getting deeper and deeper. So I think we'll end up rethinking several parts of the stack as we go forward, which is another. Of course, this doesn't address the question that you had asked, which is what are we going to do about tariffs? I think if you knew that, run from here, go to the stock market and buy us all a drink. The way this is going.
Exactly.
But I don't know what the answer to that is.
Several questions in the audience. I want to.
So I just wanted to jump in right there. Ashish, I think one of the issues is whether some things are Indian grown or they're doing contract work for US majors.
But this is Indian grown.
So I think a lot of what I said is in that context. So just, software services have always been very large in India. And that doesn't necessarily, so that is not a reflection of the original technology in auto that's developing here. That's the difference.
I think the services revenue stream is ridiculously large.
Yeah.
These are companies that are licensing IP around navigation, object detection, stuff like that. So not the services part.
I'd love to take some questions from the audience. There's a lot that I can see. Please go ahead.
Are there particular sectors or industries as investors within India that you're more bullish about or that you think India would have a natural advantage?
We'll start going point answers now, not essay type.
Yes. Yeah.
So for me personally, healthcare because of drug costs, a lot of stuff around climate related stuff, but not in the broad umbrella, but specific things. Cooling, those kinds of areas, defense, which is again a broad umbrella. And we've seen stuff on security, we've seen stuff on bombing other people using, what are these things, drones. Thank you so much. So really disturbing stuff, but it'll keep going further and ahead. These are at least some of the areas, and agri is the other one, given that it's a large percentage of the population grows food and we are especially vulnerable.
Hi, my name is Saj and I'm from the Philippines. And I'm also trying to build a deep tech startup in the agri-tech space. So my question is, what's something about building deep tech in an emerging market that outsiders consistently misunderstand?
Great question. I can answer that later. Yeah. Go ahead, Julius. Yeah.
So I think it is not just about deep tech. Building a business in emerging markets, outsiders don't have a clue. And I'll make it even more personal. So I moved here in '88. One of the single biggest issues with somebody like me who moves here is we think we know the country that we came from. We are stuck in a time warp. And even the people who moved are even more dangerous than the people who never went to that country. At least they go in with the humility that they don't know. The expats are the worst lot because they think they know. And then they get their head handed to them. The dynamics of building a business in any space in an emerging market is you have to approach it from the perspective of extreme humility and zero knowledge. It doesn't matter deep tech or otherwise. I don't know if that was what you were asking.
I think it was just more of like, we have so much nuances. Example, in the Philippines, we're so conglomerate driven. We have limited capabilities and all these things that kind of prevents us. And deep tech is already complex in and of itself. but definitely something I agree on.
Philippines, I had I've had the pleasure of living in Southeast Asia and traveling. I was in a different country every week. I started Gojek in Singapore one day, and then next day in Philippines and other things. I think Philippines is a unique place, which, to your point, even a B2C startup requires, a strategic element from one of the conglomerates. So it's even more complicated. It's good in a way that, those guys will come in immediately. But then it's, I think there's just a lot of sort of strangulation that happens at the very beginning, just to put it politely. I don't think I've been very polite, but
The few people that I've met who say I'm sitting here and I'm building for the India market, my first question is, why are you sitting here? And if you're sitting here and building for the US market, this conversation is done. Because you're just going to get killed.
Yeah.
It's not like idiots inhabit the other place. So,
Thank you.
I saw a question from you. Yes.
So, like, I think people are still started talking about the type of founder are changing. Like in the very old days, they're all business person. And in the past 20, 30 years, we see a lot of engineering founders being very successful. And people are still talking like because of AI empowering people, you see more scientist background founders coming out. From like the deep tech founders you have experience with, do you see any trend, like saying what type of person they are, and is there any kind of changing trend going on right now?
So I personally actually don't buy into that because John Hennessy, who started MIPS at Stanford, is as good a scientist as you can lay your hands on. And David Cheriton, who is from the computer science department here, teaches networking, has started multiple companies and so on and so forth. So I think it is founder problem fit, founder market fit, and all kinds of folks will thrive depending upon the problem at hand. So my sense is that finding a pattern at that level is beyond my pay grade. Depending upon the problem set, one will look. So for instance, if a consumer company is being started and somebody like me wants to start the consumer company, I wouldn't give myself money because a 25-year-old has a much better sense. I still don't understand why people post pictures without their clothes on Snap. Okay, but it's a big business. So it's a matter of different strokes for different problems, really where I would come from.
And I'll just add something very quick to that, is that, to your point now with deep tech startups emerging, there is a growing trend of scientists that are becoming founders. We just invested in a company a couple of years back called Chemify, and that is a chemist, the person has a chemistry background. We have a lot of folks, that are coming sort of from different physics and, basically different sciences backgrounds. And so that has started. But, I also tend to agree with what Aarti said. But anyway, I mean, it is happening. I want to read a couple of questions.
Can I just jump in there on the agriculture bit?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, agriculture is a whole different thing because large part of India is rain-fed. And we have a Stanford alum who's doing a startup, but he has been sitting in Punjab for the last 2 years, working with the farmers in the fields. I mean, he's done a complete immersion into that, and it's not very high tech, his solution, but that's what you need to do. You can't do this from the outside because you're talking about centuries old cropping patterns, which are now getting disrupted by the changes in the climate and the fact that the rains are no longer predictable. So the sowing season is not anymore coinciding with rain because you need it to rain after you sow so that the plants take off. So these are, these are real problems which are causing a lot of farm stress. The farming is not economic. Small farms are not economic at all. You have had situations all over India where the farm produce has to be plowed back into the land because it is not selling in the market at a price high enough to cover the costs. So if you actually take it to market, you'll lose money. So it's cheaper to just plow it in and let it be fertilizer for the next season. So it's a bad situation. It's a bad situation as far as agriculture is concerned. The green revolution has not helped. We've talked about it for years, but the truth is wheat and rice are not suitable for necessarily all areas of the country. Now the government is switching to pushing more millets, but a lot of these attitudes have to change, and we have to go for less water intensive, more nutrient intensive agricultural products. So it's complex. I don't think it's something you can't work with agriculture from overseas because there's no technological solution. It's a matter of timing the water and the nutrients and there's the other problem with agriculture, which is a lot of minerals are denuded from the land over 5,000 years of uh, of agriculture on the Indo-Gangetic Plain, for instance. You don't have any boron left. So some of the health problems we're facing is because the minerals are not the same as it would be in freshly cultivated land. So a lot of factors that need to be looked into. There's no easy solution for it.
Any other questions? Any other questions in the audience?
The gentleman in the back.
First of all, thank you so much to all of you for coming to speak to us today. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the overlap of like deep tech and climate tech and kind of, how they overlap, how they're different, how they can complement each other, and maybe how we can use some of the deep tech learnings to kind of leverage and help the climate transition.
So, both the words, pardon me, are meaningless.
Yeah.
Because they cover so much ground that it's hard to say what. To specifically, however, opine on the question that you asked, that in the general parlance of these two words, a lot of the climate problems are indeed reliant on solving either you can change how people buy, which is very hard to convince people that they start buying something either environmentally sound so therefore most of the solutions have gone towards either changing energy in some way, shape or form. That's the bulk of the solution. And those all look like they're grounded in technology of some kind. Chemistry or better batteries, which is also chemistry plus other stuff. So they all look more like deep tech solutions. So by that definition of climate tech, literally most things in climate tech look like deep tech solutions to that extent. But then it gets extremely nuanced within that. And the reason I'm only cautioning this is because therefore one doesn't apply the same brush to everything. The way the energy markets work are very different than, let us say, you come up with a bioorganism that produces some enzyme quickly, or you try and do green chemistry, they will all behave very differently. But most of climate tech does indeed rely on more technology and therefore looks like more deep tech than a lot of other spaces, by and large.
I think the only thing that I'll add is that this is kind of like foundational models and then slapping on an app on top of the foundational models type thing. There's a lot of climate tech companies that are actually deep tech. That's where the fundamentals of the problems are. But then, if you have like an app that's measuring sort of how much, your buildings are efficient versus not, and believe me, those are very, very now well-funded, profitable companies, because there is a lot of translation that needs to happen from the fundamental work and how do people sort of consume it and understand it. And so there is that as well, where you can completely be disjointed from the deep innovation and sort of like do something which is in the peripheral of basically it's software services kind of thing. Quantification of things. So, and this is the last question. We're a little over time, and we have refreshments outside. So I'll just take this last question with, we can do in the points side.
Now with AI, as the baseline is shifting, as a lot of things are becoming very easy, isn't deep tech the new tech? Isn't like just the definition of tech has now changed to deep tech? And as an investor, are you still investing in anything that is not deep tech?
So I'll give a small counter example to is everything quote unquote deep tech, using my own definition, which one can debate because that is where the root of the problem is. Some innovation that is proprietary to the company. I could imagine tomorrow building the next generation social networking company which leverages a lot of these building blocks. a photo sharing app or something of this sort, which can still be leveraging all of this. Because see, like you said, everything keeps shifting. At some point in time, the cloud was quote unquote deep tech. We now take it for granted. Semiconductors were arguably deep tech at some point. We take compute for granted. At some point, the hammer would have been deep tech. So that indeed, whatever becomes available off the shelf from Home Depot / from my favorite vendor, I use as an input. And if I have to do a whole bunch of technical innovation on top of that, then at least I end up putting that in the deep tech bucket. So to your point, we'll be building more powerful apps, but without necessarily the innovation. Just because somebody is now given me a power drill as opposed to a handheld screwdriver, I will be able to do a lot more, but I don't get credit for that innovation. I just credit for using better tools. So to that extent, everything will be leveraging deep tech. Totally agree with you.
Awesome. I thank everybody, the panelists, Tamali and Ashish. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
Bye, Tamali.
Bye.